All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming along to our second Adelaide Tableau user group for the year. It's great to have you all along. We're very excited. Our first one in May went quite well and we had some good feedback from that. So we want to keep this going. It's going to be a quarterly thing, we're hoping. And yeah, so we'll get into it. Just to start off with some introductions. So I've got myself, my name's Kira. I am the Tableau user group leader at the moment. So come to me if you are interested in presenting. We certainly welcome it. And I'm from DataSpark, and joining me today, we've also got Roger Wilkins. So Roger will be your MC for today. Take it away, Roger.
Kara, how you doing?
Good, as always.
Caroline, how you doing? I wanted to ask Caroline. I wanted to kick everything off. We were talking how Tableau Public is fairly important, group to follow, hashtag to follow, and we just found out there's 2 million visualizations that have happened on Tableau, which is exciting, and it just happened, didn't it, Caroline?
It's a huge milestone. So we've got 2 million data visualization authors. If anyone is curious, I'm going to put a link here in the chat. You can go check it out. I highly recommend if you're ever stuck or a little bit bored, check out Tableau Public. There is everything on there from sports to music to, we were just talking about Daniel Ricciardo. There's some cool stuff about that on there. And yeah, we've hit a really big milestone, so you can check it out.
I think, what we really care about is, once we spend the time and energy going into data, we need to take care of it. One of the things that I was looking through on both Param and Sophia was they're caring for the data that is important to the investors, to our clients. And our databases are just the flesh and blood of our daily grind. So the fact is, I was thinking, I don't know if you knew, Kara, but I used to be, when I read Health Check by Param, I was thinking just Health Check. I used to be an EMT, a medic back in college.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Believe it or not, I've done it all. There you go. But
that's great.
In just thinking about in that way that we care for the data, then we have to care about the platform that holds the data. We're going to have Param talking to us about how important that is to stay up on the updates and to stay across that information and be wise, as we say in America. But Sophia's going to take us a little bit towards the reaction end, the customer experience. So how we're using data to realize our mission and our public image, and how things are going between our relationships, both forward and backward. I just find it fascinating. So I thought I would bring it up that, yes, they actually used to stick me in a truck and I used to go up and down streets trying to save people. But, I was 20 years old, I was at uni, and it was pretty scary, to be honest. Someone's relying on me, but I have my wins. Anyways, with that, I definitely wanted to take time to introduce the two speakers. I don't want to take thunder away from them. Param joins us from DataSpark. He's coming up on 10 years, I think, Param, aren't you, with the guys here at DataSpark?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
it's a long time.
That's incredible. And Sophia is going to be joining us from Optus and giving us real-time alerts and customer experience monitoring. So say hello, Sophia.
Hello.
I caught you off guard. Yes, I did. So anyways, with Tableau Public being something you're going to talk about, Sophia, and before we get into it, I just wanted to ask, are you finding a lot of information on innovation, how people are using Tableau? You were saying that was a pretty reliable source there, Sophia. You want to talk just quickly, just tell us a little bit about your experience with Tableau Public.
Yeah, sure. I picked up Tableau Public about a year and a bit ago, maybe 2 years ago now. Oh no, longer actually, to build myself a digital CV, like an interactive resume on Tableau Public. And so there was a lot of really good examples on there that I referred to. But even just the other week, somebody sent me a link it was a Tableau Public viz, but it was kind of a breakdown of all the different ways you can display a KPI. And clearly it was just the same data set repeated over and over, but kind of shown in all these different ways. So yeah, I don't know. I've been using Tableau Public for a long time. I love it.
It definitely has like an altruistic rhythm to it. You know, you're learning and you're giving back something of what you learned. And so I think that's fascinating. I do want to say that Tableau has gone out of their way to be a community player. I want to bring up a slide here to share with everybody. Kara, if you could put it on what I'm starting to call Roger's shelf, which is when I come across something, I like to share it. Chris Jones shared this, what can a 9-year-old teach you about Tableau? What's fascinating, okay, about this is, you know, he's been doing this stuff all along, and quite honestly, like him, I go home to 2 kids and they ask what I do and I tell them and they still don't have any idea. But in this particular instance, Maggie came to Dad and said, I have to do something with this not Tableau necessarily, but I have to do something with visualizations and data. What you'll find on this, and I don't want to steal too much of the thunder here either, but first off, Maggie turned 10 and she was sure to tell Dad that before he had the performance of a lifetime, that he had to educate everyone that she had turned 10. It's hilarious. And Chris really entertains everybody through the conversation of how to rank Disney movies. Incredible. Incredible. Tableau was used in this fashion. And so Chris really puts it on. And I you know, Data Kids is really a pretty cool thing that Tableau is doing. You know, it feeds into an education classroom environment. And I found it as a father, I found it very fascinating. So there's the source information there, guys. And just, you know, if you're a parent, I think you have a giggle.
That's great, Rog. Yeah, it'd be good to check that one out. Awesome.
Yeah. So without really, I know everyone came here to listen to other people. I just wanted to welcome everyone. We're trying here at Adelaide to innovate us into the Tableau world. Just, you know, with that said, Sophia, if you want to bring us along from the Optus customer experience angle, I think you'll kick it off if you're ready. That was my fault.
Awesome. We can see us. Oh, can hear you now.
Yep.
And can see your screen.
Excellent. Zoom seems to be moving the little panel all over the place, and I have to find the unmute button.
Loads of fun.
Cool. All right. Hi, everybody. And yeah, thank you all for coming along today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present some of the work that I've been doing over the last few months with Optus. So my name's Sophia Ackling. I've already kind of been introduced, but I'm a digital data analyst with Optus, and I've been there almost a year now. And today I'm going to talk you through how I use Tableau alerts for near real-time customer experience monitoring. I'll explain a little more what that means as we go through the presentation. So for my agenda, I'll start off by giving you a little bit of an overview of my data viz journey. Because that's probably my favorite part every time I come along to these sessions, is hearing how people got to where they are. So I hope you'll indulge me for that section. Then I'll talk through digital analytics at Optus and how it all works. I'll talk a little bit about the data sources that I use. And then finally, I will talk through the Tableau for near real-time monitoring. So that's the alerts component. I'm not sure why this keeps dropping down, but hopefully you guys can still see. All right, so my data viz journey started off in Adelaide, actually. I'm from Adelaide. I went to the University of Adelaide and studied chemistry and maths. And during my master's, I started to dabble in data. I was generating large amounts of data and wanted to learn to visualize. And this is an example that I pulled out of some of my research, this was where I started with my data visualization journey. Very basic line chart. I was very proud of this at the time, but thank goodness I've had exposure to a bit more data visualization since then. At the end of my master's, I joined KPMG Adelaide in their internal audit team. And that was when I first got my hands on a Tableau license, and I first got my hands on some interesting data that I hadn't had to sort of generate myself in my research. And using Tableau in this particular role, a lot of my focus was around trying to find exceptions and trying to work out which particular samples we want to look at in sort of an audit data set. So I have an example here of a report that I mocked up for a client. This is fake data, but this was the type of report that I would have prepared. So it's looking at WHS risk and payroll data. So here we've got ordinary time hours on the bottom. We've got overtime hours up the side, and then we've got a dot for every employee. And you can pull in information like the industry average for overtime, and immediately any employee that's worked more than that, you can tag them for review. And any employee that's worked a vast number of hours, we tagged as a WHS risk. Depending on the industry, that might be that they've done sort of, you know, it's getting quite dangerous, the number of hours they're working. And you can also identify people that are maybe taking advantage of the system by doing more overtime than they are doing ordinary time. So this was, I guess, my first experience of sort of putting all the numbers on a page and getting really clear, obvious call outs from the data. In early 2019, I moved across to KPMG Sydney, and I joined their what was called the Lighthouse team at the time, which was purely data and analytics within KPMG. And then not long after that, I moved into the deals, tax and legal part of the business, and again in a data analytics focused role. And in this capacity, my use of Tableau kind of changed again. So rather than delving in and looking for exceptions, my focus was more building reports that look something like this. So summarizing very vast amounts of data, because often the clients we were working with, when we're looking at the tax or the superannuation or the payroll data, very, very large data sets. And the focus of these reports was providing summaries to senior stakeholders and occasionally monitoring reports as well. So this is an example that KPMG has published online. You can go and have a look at this if you're interested, but it kind of gives an overview of superannuation. This was the kind of data that I was working with there. In 2020, I decided that I didn't have enough change going on in my life with COVID. I also wanted a new job. So I started to have a look around and see the kind of roles that were available in the Sydney market in the data analytics space. And I found actually that a lot of employers were wanting to get a feel for your data analytics and data visualization skills as part of the interview process. So there was often a take-home assignment. And this is where I went really hard into Tableau Public. So I'm pleased that we talked about that at the beginning, because it's something that's quite close to my heart. I got deep into Tableau Public, kind of building a few different reports to show what I could do, and also trying to answer the questions that the employers, potential employers, were asking. So here's an example of one of my Tableau Public reports. It uses the Sydney Airbnb data, which is freely available online. And I think the remit for this particular task was give us some insights from this data. Use the Sydney Airbnb data between, I think it was April and May of 2020, and tell us what you find. So this was the first time that I had really started to pull data in and look at it from an insights perspective rather than a compliance perspective or just sort of summarizing a count of things. This was more like, what can we learn from the data? So this report hasn't aged very well because it was looking at the impact of lockdown, the first lockdown, early last year. And of course, we know a lot has changed since then. But I did come up with a couple of key findings around the types of listings that were being taken down and the kind of listings that were being reposted, and kind of drew some, I guess, extra knowledge in about, you know, perhaps there are more entire homes being removed because there are fewer people coming in from overseas that are wanting to have entire homes, but there's more private rooms that are now being listed, and perhaps this is because people are looking for extra sources of income. This was really fun. I really enjoyed this. And luckily enough, it was actually sufficient to get me the role with Optus. So I joined Optus in October of last year, and I'll now talk to you a little bit about digital analytics at Optus. So some of you on the call may, or many of you may already be familiar with this kind of model that we have. It's a bit, I think I've heard it called the Spotify model. So we've got a digital service tribe, which is made up of a number of different squads, and they're all focused on the common vision of improving the customer experience in our digital channels. So within Optus and within digital service, that includes the My Optus app, it includes chatbot, it includes messaging, digital case management, and a number of other channels as well. So we're really trying to make sure that customers are having the best possible experience when they're contacting us and interacting with Optus. Within that tribe, I work across two different squads, and they're very different. So the first one is the app experience squad, and they're responsible for making sure that the look and feel of the app is really intuitive. It's laid out in a way that makes sense. It's got features that work. There aren't too many errors. The color scheme matches, all that basic sort of underlying fundamental components that you need for a good app. And the second squad that I work across is a Living Networks feature squad. I'm not sure if anyone on the call has heard of the Optus Living Networks, but it's a kind of a new initiative that we're running at the moment to try and bring more exciting experiences to our customers. So as an example, and I don't know if you can see on the screen here, this little tile called Translate. This is a feature that my team worked on, and we released the beta back in June. And it's a feature that allows our customers to have a live a call with someone in another language and do live translation over that call over the Optus network. So we're really proud of that feature, and we've got more in the pipeline. And then outside of all of that, I also loop in with the digital analytics chapter, and we share our learnings and skills across across the chapter, and we're embedded across the business. So we can really get some efficiencies and sort of share our knowledge of Tableau or the data that we're working on as well. So my role within digital analytics, there's kind of three different components. One of them is building Tableau reports to provide early insights on how features are being used, how the uptake is going, whether we're having errors, I guess sort of customer experience type things, and KPIs as well. The second is to do real deep dives into the data that we have, looking at customer behavior and performance of some of our features. And then I guess a third part of that related to point two is then to guide the product design process. So I can provide insights on how customers are using a particular part of the app, and maybe we'll decide to run an A/B test and see if we can improve that experience for the customer. I meant to say at the beginning, by the way, if anybody has any questions, feel free to jump in and stop me at any time. I'm happy to answer, or I'm happy to answer questions at the end as well. All right, so next up was data sources that I use. So within the My Optus app, or apps rather, the iOS and the Android app, we have Firebase tracking. It's implemented on many of the features within the app, so that allows us to gather anonymous data. There's no PII, but we're able to get information about how the app is being used. The data is collected in the Firebase SDK and it's sent to BigQuery. That data kind of appears or migrates into BigQuery for us in real time, and then also on a daily migration we get a summary of the data as well, so we can always do a look back to yesterday's data. Once the data is in BigQuery, my chapter is responsible for kind of managing that, cleaning the data up, and we use a mixture of SQL and BigQuery, and then also level of detail metrics within Tableau to aggregate up and pull out the information or the insights that we're looking for. So in particular, this is creating those monitoring reports that I was talking about, where we have sort of objectives and key results, or OKRs. An example would be that when we launched the Call Translate feature, I built sort of an overall dashboard that showed us how many customers are using it, how's the onboarding funnel looking, and all that sort of information. And then also generating insights and identifying customer pain points. So this might be something like in a particular feature, customers are using or trying to do the same thing over and over again. So looking at why that's happening and trying to provide some guidance to the squad as to how we can.
Well, thank you so much, Alex. I'll talk to you later then. Take care. Bye.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you okay. Just a quick reminder, everyone, I think if you can just pop yourself on mute while we've got these presentations going, just in case there's any background noise or anything. But yeah, I can still hear you fine, Sophia.
Cool, awesome, no worries.
Looking great so far.
Cool.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I think that was all I wanted to say on this slide anyway. So yeah, ultimately everything lands in Tableau Server and all of our reporting is out of Tableau Server. So I'll now move on to talking about this real-time monitor or near real-time monitoring that I've been hinting at since the start of the presentation. So I'll talk you through the problem, the solution design, and then the proof of concept that I came up with. So the problem is that we have messaging available within the app. Customers can contact an agent through the messaging feature. But when the messaging feature isn't available, for whatever reason, if the service goes down, customers are severely impacted by that. It's very frustrating. They then have to call us, and it can take a lot of time to resolve that problem. So we want to make sure that if there is a problem within the messaging functionality, we catch it really quickly. The problem is that although we have a lot of API monitoring across the app and all of the different APIs that we have that support the app, this one is sort of a bit of a gap because it's a third-party service. So there's sort of limited visibility over what is going on there. And then also the other, I guess the other component of it is that when messaging breaks for say 50 or 100 customers, that's a really big deal for those 50 or 100 customers, but in the scale of how many customers we have on our app, it's not a very high proportion. So all of our automated triggers that look at proportion of customers, I guess we may not get to that trigger point, even though customers are having a really bad experience because messaging is down. We do find out when there has been a messaging outage, but up until recently, we don't find out until the next day when the full data set comes through and we look at our daily reports. So the goal was to try and create a better way to monitor this and try and improve, I guess, the customer experience by minimizing those errors, because as soon as we know about the errors, we can try and fix the outage. So the solution that we wanted to, or that we sort of designed was we wanted an hourly refresh of the data for the displayed error that customers see when messaging is down. We can then use the Tableau alerts functionality to trigger an email. And that email can be forwarded on to the ops team to go ahead and investigate and try and resolve the problem. So the proof of concept that I came up with was an incredibly basic aggregation of the data in BigQuery. It literally just takes account of the customers that have seen that particular messaging error in the app, aggregates it up on an hourly basis, sends it through to Tableau. I do a tiny bit of metric calculation in Tableau using level of detail. Level of detail metrics. So that's just to get the seasonality for the day of the week and the hour of the day. And then that Tableau dataset refreshes hourly. And then I just get an alert if my, based on the alert that I've set up, I just get an alert, an email through to myself. So that's all a bit sort of maybe confusing without being able to see. So I'll try and exit out of this and show you what this actually looks like. I'm just going to do a refresh so it doesn't refresh halfway through my presentation. Okay, here we go. So I'll talk you through the basic components. Hopefully you can see this is a very simple report. Down the bottom here, we have the number of customers that have experienced a messaging error broken down by the date and the hour of the day. As an example, at 9 p.m. on the 26th of, sorry, let's do a current one. At 9 a.m. this morning, we expected to have 16 customers having this messaging error, and that seasonality is based on 8 weeks worth of data for that day of the week and for that hour of the day. What we actually had was 19 customers, which was 3 more than what we expected to see. Now, 3 more is not a big deal. I've actually set my baseline as plus 20 from the expected baseline. So I'll only get an alert when it exceeds this. This top part here just shows me that baseline that I've set, and it shows me the difference from the expected average. So for example, we were 8 down on the average at 10 o'clock, but we were 2 up at 11 o'clock. The most important part of this though is this section here. So this is just the latest hours worth of data. So we're at 4:30 in Sydney. So this is the 3 o'clock data. And you can see that we were -5 from the expected average. So no problem here. However, if it was above and it was above 20, I would have gotten an email, and that's just set up through a really basic alert. So if you haven't used Tableau alerts before, you just need an axis. So you select the axis that you're interested in, which in this case is this one here. You go to alerts. You can see I've already set one up, so I'll show you what that looks like, but otherwise I would have clicked create. It'll think about it. And then I've just set a condition. So above or equal to 20, that's the threshold that I decided. This is the email subject that I'll get through. So it will say to me, data alert, messaging hourly view, and it sends me a screenshot of the report as it stood. And then I've also set the condition to be hourly at most, which means that every hour it'll check. And if there is an issue and it's above or equal to 20, it'll send me an email every hour. That then comes to me. And I have a rule which then sends it out to the ops team. And I also review it and make sure if it does look like a big deal, I'll send an extra email to them asking them to investigate. And that's it. So it's really simple to set up. Like I said, you just need an axis and you just need to, I guess, get your data in a format that it'll allow you to have that axis set up. So does this actually work? And the answer is yes. I have an example from back on the 17th of May. It's a little while ago now, but we had, this came through to me in an email. So I can see that we had plus 236 above the baseline, which was 10 at the time. So clearly something went wrong at 3 in the afternoon on the 17th of May. This email was flicked off to ops. They investigated and they found that there was actually an authentication issue that was causing problems within the messaging feature within the app. So within 1 hour, they'd already figured out what the problem was and they were well on their way to resolving it. So it was really exciting to see that something this simple using Tableau alerts was able to get us, I guess, a response that quickly and able to, I guess, ultimately save our customers from the frustration of not being able to contact us through messaging. That was everything that I had. So I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
That was great. Thanks so much,
Yes.
Sophia. I did have a question actually. I was just wondering, how else would you see these alerts used? Do you have any other examples of perhaps where you guys are looking to use the alerts or how you've seen it in the past?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. I think one of the things is, or one of the challenges is we probably can't set up hundreds of them because it can be, at least with the data that we're using because of the size, it can be quite expensive. However, I think there's definitely an opportunity, well, within Optus, I know we're already looking at sort of expanding it beyond just messaging errors to potentially some other errors as well, which is I think useful, but there's also opportunities for non-error reporting. So we can use it to, for example, look at transactions, maybe sales as an example. So anything where you sort of got a nice sort of expected frequency of the data, you can get a baseline. As soon as you get a baseline, this is perfect for looking at whether you're sort of meeting it under or over. And another thing that I've been wanting to explore is looking at creating like a cumulative report. So maybe looking at the cumulative data over the course of a month, and that could be daily or hourly data. And sort of if we've hit a threshold, automating an email out. So I'm thinking if we get to a point where we know we're going to meet an OKR, sort of auto-generating that email out to the business to say, hey, we've met our OKR for the month. I think that's a really good way to get people excited about data again. So yeah, that's something that I'm looking to use it for at the moment.
Oh, that's excellent. We've also had a question come through from Paul Turner in the chat. Sophia, did you do anything special to produce? Sorry, I've just lost the chat there now. Anything special to produce complete extracts powered by the data from BigQuery? It's something that I'm finding difficult. They're failing after a nominal timeout value set on our Tableau server.
Ooh, no, sorry, I don't know if I can help with that one. The complete extracts powered by the data from BigQuery. No, everything kind of just flowed through really nicely. It's kind of surprising actually when I talk about this being easy, like it was actually quite simple. The size of my data is really small. I don't know if that's anything that that's causing timeout issues for you, but because I'm literally just doing a count every hour, I've got, you know, one data point every hour. It's quite small. But yeah, I'm not really sure about that one. Sorry, Paul.
I find your journey fascinating, how you started, Sophia, you know, by dabbling in Tableau Public. And honestly, and now look seriously what you're doing for Optus, which is one of the big guys on our cell phones. And quite frankly, it's my vendor. So I was very fascinated. All of a sudden I was clued in as to look at this app and look at all the things. I'm just thinking that journey is quite amazing. And having done grad school, I know the statistics that you got to dive into, and all of a sudden you become, you know, analytics amateur anyway. And
Yeah,
that was great. That was a great preso. Any other questions from anybody? I mean, even if you just want to type them in the chat. You know, right now Sophia is available to answer anything, you know, from the Optus or the analytics standpoint. No customer experience questions. Just want to say hi. Okay. Looks
I'll
like
keep an
that's
eye on the
it.
chat if anyone has anything.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Back to you,
Next,
Roger.
yeah, we have Param, but we call him PRAM, and he's kind of a rock star of analytics knowledge around here, and he wants to go into health checks and has nothing to do with me being a medic. I like to bring that back every once in a while because what it is actually it's the investment that you're keeping healthy. Isn't that right, Param?
Oh, Param, I think you might be muted.
You are absolutely right. I was muted. What I was saying is my heart rate is going up. So Rog, come over, pop my heart a little bit.
Sweet.
All right. Now, thanks for that, Rog. Appreciate that. And Sophia, I am glad you did that demonstration over there, you know, to show how easy is it to do the alert. It's one of the features I always as well talk to customers about it and make, you know, you just showed an example that how easy it is to set up. Great. Thanks for that. All right. Now, my name is Param, and as how Roger introduced, I'm a member of DataSpark team and have been working here for the past 9 years. I started my journey with Tableau in 2015, where Tableau at that time was on version 9, which can give you an idea of how long I've been a Tableau user. I've worked on both desktop, online, and server, with extensive experience with Tableau server and online, especially in implementation and maintenance work. I've worked with customers where we help to start their Tableau journey, and also with customers who were already heavily relying on Tableau platform for their day-to-day business. I've come across small organization of 1 or 2 people, but also worked larger government and enterprise organization. So what I'm going to share with you today is the importance of Tableau health check. One thing that I've learned from my years of experience is that Tableau and most other software is a platform that you need to look after. Just like how you look after your car. You buy it, you drive it, and from time to time, you open up the hood and check fluid levels are good. And then you send it for servicing. Tableau is no different. You buy it, you develop your reports and publish. From time to time, you check the reports are behaving and then have someone check if the hardware and software that makes the platform healthy and needs attention. A regular check is the best way of keeping your platform healthy. Now, if you've got access to your Tableau platform, feel free to follow along this presentation, and you might be able to do your own health check as part of this presentation. Otherwise, this is a recorded session, so use this recording and you can try to do the health check in your own time. I've had a look at the poll results, and it is great to see that we've got a mixture of people on all platforms. We've got server, we've got public, we've got online, desktop, and we've also got a good mixture of admin users, explorers, viewers, and new users as well. So this would be hopefully quite useful for the group of people who've joined today. Right. And just to be clear, the health check that we're going to be talking about today is about the Tableau platform. This is where your report lives in. This can either be Tableau Online or Tableau Server. All right. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Okay. All right, I'll just do a quick check. That is coming through. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Okay, all right, so, okay. The main points in this slide provides you with the benefit of an health check, and the sub points are basically giving you an idea on what tasks you need to do to correlate to that health check. All right, to start off, to ensure your Tableau platform is running stable, that's the first thing that you want to do for your health check. And what I mean by stable here is that you're able to access the reports that are published and able to access them when you require them. And when you access your reports, you also want to ensure that they provide you with the information timely, where you are not waiting for a page to load or waiting for information to change when you interact or change a filter. Now, information that you access could be sensitive or restricted, so security plays an important role here, and we will cover that in the secure check. And this will also ensure that when, irrespective of where you accessing your platform, you can guarantee that it is secured. The other part on data recovery, that's basically, we want to be able to answer our own question and be aware if the platform that we're working in can be recovered, as this will not only save time for rebuilding the platform, but could also impact your work directly where you've lost access to key information. And lastly, utilization. All right, a health check will give you an opportunity to understand if your platform is an investment that is being fully utilized. All right, who and when. All right, now most of the checks that we will be covering today can be done by a licensed Tableau user and one who has the creator or explorer administrator role. Now, the question that I get asked often is who should be performing the health checks. All right, this can be a hard role to fill, and some organizations don't have the right person or skills, so they engage external consultants to assist, like DataSpark. Now, if the internal IT team is handling the installs and upgrades, then they can perform the health checks in this case. Now, how often should you check? If you've got a small implementation, say 10 users, or your data size are small, where data extracts are just a matter of minutes to complete and the report growth is handful, then a quarterly checkup would work, as you have very little changes occurring. On the other hand, say you've got 20 users, they're all very active, new reports are created and updated frequently, and the platform is always busy, a monthly health check will be good. Now, worth mentioning here that you might have a small footprint, but if your Tableau platform is a critical part of your organization, then monthly health check is definitely recommended. All right, now that you have a basic idea on why a health check would be good, so let's look at what you need to do. All right, first off, we're going to talk about Tableau Backup. All right, now, first off, this is going to be covered for Tableau Server users. Now, if you're on Tableau Server, the backup process is not something that comes together as part of the server installation. there is an additional installation that each implementation will need to be done, and this is configured manually. What this does is that it will generate a Tableau server database backup, which is the recommended file to use for restoring Tableau server. Now, the most common response that we get from our customers regarding backups is that they have a server snapshot. A server snapshot, if you're not aware, is a copy of a server at a point in time. Tableau have said that recovery done using server snapshots are not valid sources for restoring Tableau server. So your first health check here is to check if there is a scheduled backup that generates the database backup, and that is being done regularly. Now, we also recommend that if you've got this done, that this is performed out of business hours. Now, for Tableau Online users, all right, so this is taken care of you. So you're sitting on a platform that Tableau manages. Tableau also schedules outages, sends out communications, so you can be aware and be prepared. This then would be more for when an unexpected outage occurs. So the question here would be, would you be able to have access to reports via Tableau desktop during the outage as a backup? What we have seen being done by some customers to ensure this is that they have a file share platform that the report developers can keep a copy of the latest version of the published workbooks. There is also the added benefit that should any employee leave the organization, there is an easy access to the work they have done. The health check here would be to ensure that the latest copy of the published report is available in the file share platform. Right, next, we're going to be talking about background tasks. Now, these are part of set of administrative reports that comes with your Tableau platform. This is available both on online and server and provides you with an easy report to do your health check. So, all right, the first stop is the background task for extracts. This is where your data refresh job status gets logged. The question that we're going to be asking when viewing the reports, are there any errors? Are there long-running extracts, long wait times, and extract refresh occurring out of business hours? So what I'm going to do is share with you the report so that you get an idea where this sits. All right. So this, I'm showing this on Tableau server. All right. So if you've got multiple sites, so switch to all sites. So what this gives is a view of the whole server, and you should see an option on your left that says server status. And from here, you have a list of administrative reports. So to start off first, we'll look at background tasks for extracts. Okay, so first check we're going to do is, are there any errors? All right, so as you can see, it's easy to basically identify from the color coding itself. All right, so these are the errors that's there. All right, so what you want to do then, basically from this report, you want to be able to easily, you are able to easily drill down in the sense that if you've, in this case, this is a very light, this is for demo purpose. So you might have a very busy looking report. And if you want to focus, you can just basically click on the error, just focus on that. And for example, let's say I want to see, all right, so let's look at client list. How often is that happen? So, oh, that's only happened once. So maybe it's a report that's been developed recently. If I look at lists, senders user list, for example. Oh, okay, all right. So that's happened twice now. So maybe it's time for me to look at this and see who's developed the reports or what their error is. You could actually hover over and basically get an idea of the error that's there and get in touch with the report developers to investigate further. All right. So the next is, are there long-running extract refreshes? All right. So in this report, so let me just revert this back, go back to its original. you've got this easy way of checking if you've got any long running extracts. So you've got this filter that's here that checks how long the extract's been running. So what you can do is, let's say if I want to see anything that's run for more than 60 seconds. All right. Okay, in this case, yep, as I said, this is a test server, so I'm not seeing anything. But if you see that, then basically you want to start looking at this. What you want to do is try to reduce the time that the extract complete. Now, this might mean checking the data source, evaluate if we're only pulling the data that is required for the report, or if there are complex queries written to extract the data, and have a look at how we can optimize that. Now, what we have found being the common theme for long-running extracts is that a report is based on a copy. But the information required for this new report does not need the full data extract. For example, the original report could be for a full financial year, but the new report only needs quarterly information. But since the data source has not been limited, both the reports are pulling in the full data itself. Hence, you having two reports extracting and taking up your resource. All right. Next, we're going to be looking at, are there long wait times? All right. Now, a wait time is the time from when the extract is scheduled to start to when the extract actually starts. To get an idea, so let's move over here. So you can see here there are multiple dates. The first is created at, that is when Tableau basically schedules this, puts it into the queue. Started at is when Tableau says, all right, I've got enough resource now, and I am going to kick that actual extract refresh itself. All right. So now you definitely want to try to keep this with a short wait time. All right. And if you've got multiple workbooks on the same schedule, and depending on available resources, some reports might be waiting before they can even begin. Now, we've seen this happen pretty often. And what we've found is that the reports basically are using the same data source, and they embedded in multiple workbooks. So data source, someone creates a data source, they create a report, someone else uses that, and basically you've got the same extract being done multiple times. So basically when your implementation starts growing, people starts copying it, you've got one data source, same information is getting extracted multiple times. All right. So now you might start rethinking about, all right, so this is taking up too much resource. If they're all using the same data source, then maybe this is a better use case for embedding a data rather than using an embedded data source, you want to publish your data source. All right, so basically instead of the data source sitting in an actual workbook, it's a data source that sits in Tableau platform that you can use your Tableau desktop to look at that. So then basically the number of extracts that you have to do reduces. All right. All right, next we're going to be looking at, are extract refreshes running during or outside business hours? So if we so I just refresh back. So from the report itself, you can see there is a timeline over here. So from there, you should get an idea where are most of the activities happening. If you see, and give an idea whether it's out of business hours or not. Right. If you've got long-running extracts or multiple extracts running during the business hours, what this would mean is that the process that are responsible for rendering your views when someone opens the report page, for example, are going to have to compete for resources while extract refreshes are running. We've had an issue where a customer found that the load times of their report seems to always be slower during the early part of the day and automatically improves afterwards. Now, upon further investigation, it was clear the data refresh that was happening in the early morning was still running and only finishing around 11 a.m. A reschedule of the extract was done and the issue was immediately resolved. All right. Next, we're going to be looking at non-extracts. All right, so that's another admin report that just sits as a tab, and it's called background tasks for non-extracts. Now, in here, the information that's provided here is slightly different. All right, what we're going to be checking that we suggest you do checking in here is basically your subscriptions. All right, so this is when someone has looked at the report and they say, I want this sent to me as an email. All right, so when they subscribe, a process is run in Tableau for that schedule. And so in here, you should be able to see from the task list. So I'll that and search for subscription. Oh, all right, so I have not set up subscription over here. So you should just be able to select for that particular task and then check if there's been any errors. All right, so besides subscription, the other thing is Active Directory synchronization. So Active Directory is kind of like a way to manage your user access that is pretty popular. So you've got a schedule that basically automatically adds users who are being added into Active Directory so that they can be automatically licensed on Tableau server. So sometimes maintenance are done and communication to Active Directory doesn't happen. So this is a place where you can basically go into tasks and search for Active Directory and check whether there's been any issues. And the other thing to pay attention in this is now Tableau, like any other platforms, has background processes running. These background processes you don't need to be aware of, but what it does is it makes sure your platform is doing well, logs are maintained, and your platform is running as it should. So when you come to this view, and I basically what you will initially do is click on the errors, and you start seeing, for example, simple object, TD refresh. I have no idea what these are. So these are generally system related tasks. And if you keep seeing that constantly occurring and happening throughout the day, then you basically start asking, hey, something in Tableau is not working. You might not be able to answer what they are, but basically it allows you to prompt, I need to raise a support request with Tableau to help further investigate, or yep, a relevant team that might be able to assist you. Now, overall, similar to the data extract, in what we're looking for in this report, besides all these errors, is also to see how long they are running for. For example, a subscription. Now, these are jobs that subscription Active Directory things, these are jobs that should be just running a matter of seconds. But if you notice some of these activities are taking, like say, minutes, then you want to start investigating in there. And then basically similar to what we've done on the background tasks for extracts, you can just basically use this filter where you basically, set that up and can immediately focus on any issue that's happened. All right, so for example, here, verify search index. That's all right, runtime is 375. So in this instance, what I can do is verify search index, that's selected, and change that to a longer period and see historically, does that take that much of time? All right, so there's been 2 occurrences. That was 549 and today was 375. Okay, all right, so that seems to have improved, and that seems to be how long it should generally take. So that's not, it's not a concern, but at least it gives you an idea about, all right, so whether I should pay attention to this or not. All right. Moving along, view performance stats. Okay, so this is more specific to Tableau server. All right, and the reports to look at here are stats for load times. All right, so this shows you which views are the most expensive in terms of server performance. And the other view to look at is performance view. Oh, that's right. Okay, it's only selected one. All right, so here it displays how long it takes for views to load and how many logged in users on the server. All right, now let me, as you can see this report, so you don't have to spend too much of time in this because I know there's quite a lot of things to check. So what we're looking for is if you've got anything, or in this case, it's not showing up, but when it's above 10 seconds, that's when you start seeing red. Maybe I should expand that. Give me some information. There we go. All right. So there we go. So in this case, all right, so I've only got one report that's had an issue where it's loading for more than 10 seconds. All right. Now, all right, so this wasn't an issue with the actual report. All right. Yeah, 27 marks. So that's just one off. But what if you constantly see a lot of red marks, then you basically want to investigate that. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a common case where if the list of reports that I've had long load times keeps increasing, and basically you just notice it, you talk to the users and they say, nah, that's fine, I'm used to waiting for 20 seconds. But if it keeps on increasing and no action is done, what this does to the server, it puts more pressure on the resources available, and before you know it, overall performance of the server could be impacted. So you want to try and discover the problem as early as possible and investigate. All right. Okay. So next, we're going to be looking at platform utilization. All right. So first off, action by all users. All right. So that's all the way over here. All right. So this gives you information about how your Tableau platform is used. And the other one is action by specific users, which gives you information about how individual users on your Tableau platform are using it. Now, by looking at both of these reports, you can get a sense if people are actively using your platform or not. If there should be more activity than it's showing, you want to ask the question why that is happening. All right. Then the other one, it's not part of the server admin. This is now going back to Tableau and just on the user list page. All right. This gives you a quick glance on how many licenses are available. All right. And if you sort by the last signed in, you can see who has recently logged in, not logged in for a while, or who has not logged in at all. Now, this is a page we always refer to when we're having conversations about when people are thinking of purchasing additional licenses. Now, you might have assigned out all of your licenses and think more licenses are needed, but if they are not actually being used, you can start having meaningful conversation that will ensure that overall cost of your platform matches with the actual use. Now, this page will also list unlicensed user. And if you're not aware, a user can be added on Tableau online or server and set it as unlicensed. This commonly gets done when someone leaves the organization. And if you've got unlicensed users, ask the question if they should be still in here or completely removed. This is a good housekeeping that keeps your user list tidy. The other place is on the Explore. All right, so for that, we'll go on the site level. So if we look at Explore, all right, this gives you a glance, and let's go on the workbook Explore. All right, now it gives you a glance on the total workbook that you've got published on your platform. Sorting this by view all times, all right, tells you how often people are accessing the published report. And it's pretty common as your platform usage grows, you'll find outdated reports still sitting there. As example, you've got one over here, another one here. So you could see that this is already written as old and a new one's put there, but this is still sitting over there. Now, it might be sitting there and it might be still performing extract refreshes and unnecessarily using up your platform resource. When this is checked regularly, you are ensuring only relevant content is on your platform. Now, Tableau released a new feature called automatically suspend extract refresh tasks that stops extract refreshes when a report is not viewed for a certain period of time. This is great, whereby it ensures that the resource of the platform is only being used for actively used reports. But you still have to do the checks to actually remove the outdated report. All right. The other view that you can check your utilization is the views, traffic to views. All right. So this tells you, oh, sorry, not this traffic to views. Now that's admin, sorry. Let's go back to server status and traffic to views. That's the one. All right. While that's loading, so this tells you how much of traffic it goes to a particular report. You might have developed a workbook with multiple views and able to get insight on which view is getting the attention. For example, let's see if I go to this one. Does it have multiple? Yep. All right, cool. So there we go. We've got where we've seen one report. It's got multiple sheets inside there, and basically one is getting a lot more view and the other one just someone had a glance and hasn't had a look at it at all. All right, and this is pretty common to see, and where only certain workbooks are viewed, and it gives an opportunity to understand what people want out of their report. I've used this report to walk through with customers and drive the usage of the platform by simply combining views from multiple reports into one. All right. Okay, and next, okay, so this is more for the Tableau server users. All right, now first up is resource usage. What we're checking here is for CPU, memory, and disk that has been allocated for Tableau server. All right, whether it's enough. How we're going to check this is basically well, the example I've got here is for Windows. Basically, we're just going to be using the task manager. All right, so in task manager, so let me show that task manager and just go to performance. All right, so for example, CPU. All right, once you're on this performance tab, so what you can do is open up a report and see how the performance is. So if I was to go to site to open up the report, go to the task manager and see how it's behaving. All right, so what you want to be able to see is that you'll see a spike and then it'll drop soon. So that's very, very common. But if you see CPU goes up, stay there for a couple of minutes, then basically you want to start asking, all right, is it the report that's need to be relooked at so it doesn't require a lot of resource, or do we actually need to increase the resources that we've got for CPU? Now for memory, if you look at that, right, that's slightly different because the processors will be constantly using the memory. So what you're looking here is slightly different. Generally, what we would advise is your memory usage is average about 60 to 70%. But if you're seeing this growing further up to 90% onwards, you're not leaving enough room for whenever there is a sudden spike in user activity for the server to cope. And what you will end up is having users opening up a page and then having to wait before they can actually have the view loaded. All right. So now, yeah, so you might, the one thing that I like to remind people is in terms of resources, you might have started off with the basic requirement for a test environment. And when you transition to production, you keep the same configuration. All right, so you want to basically have a look at the usage and based on that, make the necessary changes. Now for the disk space, what we want to check is whether you're running out of space. Now, I've dealt with enough Tableau server recovery where the cause of the issue is just simply disk space ran out. And my first reaction to this space issue is, don't you have SMTP configured on your Tableau server? Which is the next item in my list. Okay, SMTP is a configuration that allows for email communications to be sent by Tableau server. This is an optional configuration and one we highly recommend. Now, Tableau has put effort to configure this to the Tableau Services Manager web interface. All right. So if you've not done that yet, so I would definitely recommend that. Next is enabling SSL. Okay, SSL will allow information that is accessed from Tableau server to be secured. All right. This is another optional configuration and one we highly recommend. Tableau has put effort to make it easy to configure this, and similar to SMTP, you basically do it using the Tableau Services Manager page. All right, and the way I like to explain SSL is that imagine you're sitting in a cafe on a public Wi-Fi. Without SSL, you're allowing someone to capture the information. that is being transmitted between your computer and your Tableau platform. All right. Now, finally, we're at the last item on the list, version check. All right, what version are you on? How old is your Tableau platform? All right, that's an easy check. A question mark here, clicking on About Tableau Server, and that tells you what version it is. All right, so then you can actually go to Tableau's support page and then basically find out what's the latest version, when was this released, and look at if you want to do an upgrade. We advise that at least perform an upgrade once a year. But those, if you want to keep, updated more often, 6 months will do just great. All right. Now, if you're not aware, Tableau recently made an announcement where it's ending maintenance for Tableau for certain versions. I'll include that link on the chat here, so that is for those who are not aware, you can look into this and and see if that affects your implementation. All right. Okay. Now, I know I've covered a lot here, but I'm hoping people are not feeling this is just too much to do. What I'm hoping is that we are asking if these are being done and who should be doing it. Those who are on Tableau Server have definitely a bit more on to do. So I'm hoping maybe this can get you started to think if Tableau Online is an option you can consider. All right, so now before we end this, let's recap so that it's fresh in our mind on the top things to check. All right, for Tableau Server, all right, perform regular checks. Check that your regular backups are running. Verify that there's enough resources available. The data refreshes are not increasing significantly over time. Your performance are as per business requirements, and as well check your license usage. You don't have a lot of users who basically not using the platform. All right, and for Tableau Online is just a subset of the checks. You verify data refresh, regular check of performance, and as well the usage. All right, so I think there's been a couple of questions maybe posted.
Yeah, there's just been someone has raised their hand. Chris Maddock had something to ask. I think.
Just something to share if that's okay. So I'm from RAA, and we're heavy Tableau users for quite a few years. Just in regards to the health check, like we did. Certainly some health checks, started off health checks last year and found things like, the version wasn't aligned with where it should. And then the resources you were talking around, like CPU and memory, where they, probably should be, given that the sort of the user base and number of workbooks has increased. And just doing those two small things has changed, the time it takes to refresh extracts and the performance of the workbooks, and had really great feedback from the stakeholders across the business with respect to those. So I had a lot of benefit there. And probably for 12 or 18 months now, we've actually had DataSpark doing the health checks on a monthly basis for us. And like, from my perspective, you're getting the experts to do it, but also it means that our analysts aren't spending their time kind of behind the scenes looking at the performance of Tableau. They're really able to sort of speak more time spent actually working with our stakeholders in the organisation and delivering value from the data, rather than spending their time on kind of the health check side of it. So if anyone else is on the call, isn't doing this or thinking about it, I'd strongly have a chat with the DataSpark team about what they can offer.
That's great. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, thanks for that. Yeah, and it's good to see that it has provide some positive outcome. All right. Oh, sorry. I think I've just sent that link to.
Yeah, I think one of those links.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've just posted in the link on the maintenance for the Tableau products. the announcement on some of the versions where the maintenance is ending. All right, so, and I can see there's a quick, oh yes, Blair. All right, mentioning that you can create your own custom admin type of view. Brilliant. Yep, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, so there are capabilities where you basically, you given these admin views to start off with, but if you feel like, all right, I need a bit more, you are able to create your own views to slice and dice the data the way that you want to. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Blair. All right, so thanks everyone for your time, and I'm passing this back into the caring hands of Roger.
Iram, thank you so much. Everybody, we want to get Caroline on here. I do want to remind you, this is a recording. We'll send it around. If you have to miss any of it, you'll be sure to just hit the recording and to watch it. Caroline, you have some updates for us on the Tableau Conference?
Yes, I do. So I think actually, Kira, you've got a slide as well. So I'll let you check it on there. But as I'm, oh no, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've got that.
So Tableau Conference, if no one knows what that is, it is usually back in the day when we used to meet in person. It was an in-person conference where we'd all fly in and meet in Vegas, out of all places, I know, but that's where all the data analysts want to be. But it's back again. TC, as we like to call it here internally, it's happening on the 10th to the 12th of November, and it's completely free. So it is a great place to learn about what's coming, where the product's going, any feature updates, and also a lot to talk about data culture, enabling users within your organization. And I know we had some questions on the chat that Sophia got about BigQuery. If you've got any issues as well, we actually have a great section at TC called Tableau Doctor. So you get to schedule time with a Tableau solution engineer, and they get to work through any of your Tableau issues if you have anything. And as the name suggests, you can get a prescription on how to fix your data problem. So it's completely free. I'm going to post the link in the chat, and you can register, you can share it with your teams, and it's open to everyone. And it's also a great place to meet other people. Like in this user group, we have Slack available on there, so you can chat to each other. And there's always opportunities to connect. And I believe there may be a really fun photo booth. So definitely check it out.
That's great. That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank everybody for being on this next second, tug meeting, Adelaide tug, SA tug. But more importantly, I want to remind everybody that we too are having the next meeting in November, the end of November. So please send this around when you get it. Send it around. Please evangelize the tug, because we're all learning stuff at a really quick rate. Param and Sophia, thank you so much. Caroline, as always. Just want to remind everybody that this belongs to all of us. Looking for others to host, please reach out to Kira if you can take time to organize some content, something new, something interesting, because this is all about all of us here, and Adelaide and across the country, just getting tug practices, best practices out there. So Kira, I'll leave it to you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate everybody being here.
Wonderful, thank you, and thanks everyone for coming along. It's been great. The presentations today, very interesting, and I hope everyone learnt a lot. Just to touch on what Roger said, yes, if you would like to present, we really encourage you to reach out. Sophia actually attended our last user group, and then she reached out and she presented today, and she did a fantastic job. So if you're thinking about it or just want to have a chat about what's involved with all of it, certainly you can reach out to me. My details are there up on the screen. I'd be more than happy to talk through with you how it all happens. So thank you. I know we've run a little bit over time today, so appreciate those who've stuck around. I'm going to just stop the recording now. We're also going to just share with you some results of the poll if you'd like to stick around and have a look at some of those. So I'm just going to stop the recording.